Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with episode 171 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak with ACG.
And it's me, John, with SpawnWaveMedia.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks
Welcome
for joining.
aboard. Thank you for...
Oh, it's good. It's good to be here on an awesome Friday afternoon.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I mean, we got a jam-packed list of news to go over. I mean, this week did not hold back on us.
Did stuff happen this week?
Yeah, it might have. Just a little. But before we get into all that, Karak, would you kindly flick a buck?
Flick a buck.
Thank you. Gain access to the podcast early, patron-exclusive videos, and podcasts. So much more is there. The link is down below. On top of that, you can listen on the go via iTunes or Google Play. Be sure to give us a rating while you're there. It helps out the show. And, you know, let's say that Patreon isn't your jam. You don't want to flick a buck. Then you can still listen on the go in a different way. And lastly is upcoming content. So for me, the AC Odyssey review has just begun. I am traveling in a couple of weeks for a special event. But what about you guys? You guys working on anything?
Go ahead, John.
Oh, I'm working to hopefully break a Wii U this weekend now. I went out because GameStop was selling Wii U's, like fire selling them at like $100 a piece. So I was like, I'll go out, I'll get one, I'll rip it apart, and I'll talk about why it's terrible from the inside out. So that's my plan for this weekend. Hopefully everything works out. And then we have obviously our own podcast Saturday nights. So
Cool.
we having fun there too.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Rockin' weekend. What about you, Karak?
Forza, Assassin's Creed, and Life is Strange 2, as well as a unique video I'm pretty excited for. I don't know if it'll come out this week, but it's a video that's never, ever been done, at least on my channel. And from what I looked in last like 6 weeks of looking on the internet, has never been done at all. So we just ran one night, patrons and I were talking, and suddenly it was like, we should do this. So I'm very excited for it. We even hired professionals, people far smarter than me, After Effects people to do some pretty crazy stuff.
After Effects scares me, so that's
yeah. Well, I can do Premiere, but After Effects, I was like, yeah, not doing it. And we got two incredibly intelligent mathematicians as well. So there's some unique stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm trying to piece together what the hell you're doing, because, ladies and gentlemen, Karak has not told me, and I have no freaking...
I forgot, yeah. I would have told you. But
no, you're fine, but that sounds like something wild. Mathematicians, After Effects, I have no clue, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. Anyway, let's get into the first bit of news. It was 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm getting ready for bed, and then all of a sudden, PlayStation's like, let's make a big announcement. And they talk about the PlayStation Classic. So the following information comes from Eric Lempel of the PlayStation blog. Today, we are excited to announce that we are bringing back the original PlayStation experience in a new miniaturized version, PlayStation Classic. The console will come preloaded with 20 classic titles, including fan favorites such as Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. The mini console is approximately 45% smaller than the original PlayStation, and it emulates the original's look and feel by featuring similar controllers and packaging. Longtime fans will appreciate the nostalgia that comes with rediscovering the games that they know and love, while gamers who might be new to the platform can enjoy the groundbreaking PlayStation console experience that started it all. All of the preloaded games will be playable in their original format. It's currently available for pre-order at select retailers across the United States and Canada. Each unit will also come with an HDMI cable to connect to their TV, a USB cable, and 2 controllers for local multiplayer with compatible titles. PlayStation Classic is available for $900, Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
$99.99 in the US and $129.99 in Canada on December 3rd, 2018, which was, according to this blog, a historic date for all of us at PlayStation. So what do you guys think about this classic?
Go for it, John.
I think it's a shame that the Kaz Hirai parody count retired, because this would have been gold for them to tweet about. I mean, is anyone really like that surprised about something like this when the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic accounts for massive amounts of money at MPDs so far, like every month? We talk about how the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic have outsold even like the PS4 most months. So Why not? It's easy now too. Like the chips are all in one. It's cheap.
Yeah.
Although I do think they are cutting it. It doesn't come with an AC adapter. Like, so.
Yeah, that's weird. Well, how do you power this thing now?
You gotta get your own. Yeah. I mean, it's a 5-volt 1 amp, so most people's cell phone adapters will work, like those bricks. Or I linked one on Twitter because it's like $8 to get one. So that tells you how close they're cutting it, because the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo Classic came with them. So I think that has a lot to do with the flash memory, because like Final Fantasy 7 is like 1.5 gigabytes or something. It's big.
It's a sizable game for back then.
But this is I feel like this is just geared towards the collectors. Like I don't really know why else you'd buy it otherwise. I think most of those games like 7 and stuff are available on PC and even the PS4 at this point, PS3. So I mean I'm gonna buy it because I buy those things. That's me. But I looked at it and I said, yeah, it makes sense. It's easy money. How many people got excited about that online too? Everyone got so excited for it. But where like no DualShock controllers, that one hurt. Like,
it was a little strange.
I was on the other side. I would have preferred one DualShock controller to come with it rather than 2 non-DualShocks. And I'll just buy the second one if I need it. Most of those games anyway, like you're not gonna use a second controller for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's the only one I looked at there was maybe I never played Ridge Racer, but I'd imagine that's a racing game, so that's one, and Tekken. But like Tekken's the only one I imagine that like, hey, get a couple of guys to come over, play together for a night, do a little like at home tournament, homebrew that type of stuff. But Karak, I'm curious about your thoughts. I know you're like, I fucking hate this. Why do you?
I hate it.
Yeah, why do you hate this? With every fiber of your being.
With every fiber, because it'll do the exact same thing it did to Nintendo, which is internally teach them that they don't need to work on backwards compatibility for their own systems. Right. And I think it's a complete scam. I also think it's a scam that it doesn't have its own HDMI scaler. One of the problems that we're going to deal with is, just in my Discord, we have 21 different HDR TVs that people have. Different models. Every single HDR TV has a different scaler, which takes your original input and turns it to 4K. The problem is some suck cock. Like they are terrible. They're unacceptable. So what worries me, and sometimes they're on the expensive TVs. So what worries me is getting a 480 or getting a 720p signal, which they said the max was 720, which indicates they don't have an output. You're going to end up running into those TVs with the scalers, unless they're doing something or there was a mistake on their paperwork, which is completely fine. Also, the analog sticks, 1997 was the original DualShock. The fact that they basically are saying that if the Classic ever comes out again and there were another 20 games, it could never be past that date, like because you wouldn't have the right controls for it. Right. Complete scam. Like it's one of the worst money grabs that I think the industry has right now. I don't like the SNES with their fucking 1-foot cords.
That one's a little weird.
It's everything that these companies do. And if Microsoft does it, you can bet your ass. If people are thinking, I bet you if an Xbox came out, I would fucking be livid. I do not like the idea at all. That's just me. I know people, like it, and I get nostalgia, but nostalgia to me is a feeling, not an actual tangible item. And I'm spending money, and I don't need to pay $100 for nostalgia. Right. I don't need to pay $5 for nostalgia. So that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at it, the Sony's PS4 could play PS1 and PS2 games if you popped them in and stuff. And the thing, like, I look at Nintendo and I'm like, I guess they were going to sell people those games anyway because you can't put the cartridge into the Switch. So I'm like, all right, that makes sense. But like, the PlayStation 4 not being able to take a PlayStation 1 disc, see what it is, and then download it from the shop like Microsoft does. The tweet that Microsoft put out, it didn't go over well because it was poorly worded, but it made sense.
It was very poorly worded. It was very free. Yeah, dude, if your service is over 1 cent, it's not free. That's the first thing.
I saw that and I immediately thought Game Pass update on the night that PlayStation 1 Classic comes out, and I read it and I was like, wait a minute, that's not what this is. But it makes sense that they're telling you we do backwards compatibility for free, whereas the competition charges for it or just outright doesn't give it to you. So Microsoft is untouchable in the backwards compatibility.
Well, and even
they probably always will be.
The fucking, I mean, now that I've seen like the Fallout's backwards compatible HD up-resed and actually enhanced, it's unbelievable. The difference between Fallout 3 on the 360 and Fallout 3 on the Xbox One enhanced, you're just like, and that's all just filtering. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it is the fact that those games did not have proper filtering on those old consoles.
I always hear Red Dead Redemption is like the one to go back and look at now in 4K.
It is. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it looks. I wouldn't say it looks first gen Xbox One, but I would say it looks mid, like It looks like a 360 Pro or something made it. It's definitely done very well.
Yeah, but it's gonna be. I mean, when we go forward, if they're gonna keep backwards compatibility, does that mean they can never take the disc drive out of the Xbox line?
Good. Yeah,
that's my question there, because Sony has trained everyone, and so has Nintendo, to not expect you to be able to put your game into the system, so they can remove the. I think everyone knows digital media is eventually going to be like
that thing.
Yeah. So
yeah,
they can't remove their disc drive then if they really keep pushing backwards compatibility like they
or
are.
they'll do the rumor that I had heard was that a big manufacturer, but nobody said who, was looking to do a limited run style situation. So it's like, what if Microsoft or Sony had a print to play or print to purchase system where it's like, yeah, I want this, and they're like, okay, and they print out a certain number. So in fact, Limited Press, is that their name?
Limited Run.
Yeah, so Limited Run already gets, that business. You can't tell me Sony and Microsoft aren't looking at that and going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If they're getting that bit, I mean, they're business people. I would do it. You guys would do it. If you're running the company, you'd be like, hey, the competition's doing something. We actually own this shit. Why don't we do something along those lines? So either way could work out.
Absolutely.
I remember during that time, I was really young when the PlayStation 1 and the 64 were a thing, and I remembered it was kind of like you either have one or the other. Now I don't know about you guys, when if you were like N64 kid,
Sega Saturn, baby.
Okay.
Oh man,
All right.
Sorry.
Oh, best system ever. Loved it.
I had the 64 first, and then I got the PS1, like the little one, with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, because that was like it back then. But that's when skateboarding was like super hot.
Yeah.
But before that, even my school actually sent kids home with the original PlayStation with learning games.
What?
So yeah, it was weird. There was one. Wow. It was one of the games. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was a blue moose who would surf through the neighborhoods, and they would teach you things. And it was during elementary school times. I think that was like 5th grade, maybe.
So while you guys were doing that, I was playing Duke Nukem co-op online on the Sega Saturn.
Well, here's what we would do.
Yeah.
No one ever played those games. We would go rent games.
Yeah, of
so
course.
They sent it home, and we would rent. Like I remember I rented Hercules because that game was actually pretty fun. Mega Man, I think X4 was out at the time. So a big Mega Man fan, and we just played everything but the Blue Moose game they sent us home with. And at the end of like 3 months, I think we had to give it back. So we got a PS1 for free for like 3 months, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was really funny. I got to figure out what that Blue Moose game was called, because it had a full theme song.
I think this isn't the game, but it reminds me of that game Zoombinis that I used to always play when I was a kid. I had to learn math. You'd have like to count these little fuzzy guys and like put them in certain areas. It was like a golden game for kids my age in my school. I remember it.
I'm not the only one here who played Sneak King, am I? The Burger King game. Fucking A, baby. That's
I used to always say I'd go to Burger King and get those games, but I just couldn't. I didn't want to get Burger King.
You need to pick up Sneak King and tweet it or Twitch it, because I'm telling you, people would watch. That game is creepy as fuck. Is so worth. A matter of fact, we were talking about doing it as a Halloween on our Halloween Twitch. Was Sneak King.
I think I found it. I think it's called Mars Moose on the PlayStation 1.
Mars Moose.
Yes. They would send us home with that. And there was another game too, but it was basically just a bunch of learning. It was like the learning games from PC, but on the PlayStation.
Right.
We were sent home with guns.
I don't know why they tried that. Maybe that's because like everyone was talking about the PlayStation when it came out, so they were like, "Well, we'll."
Or maybe Sony had a deal with education. Maybe.
Well, maybe, yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, they might have.
No, none of us played it though. We all played like Crash Bandicoot.
Well, we all actually, when I was growing up, the Apple IIe and the Commodore, there were actually school events that you could go to, and you could check them out. So, and that was driven by Apple and driven by IBM, driven by all those different companies. So I could see a company looking at that. Do you guys remember Sony and all their BS marketing? It's like, yeah, we can't sell them in Iraq because they can control missiles. They're so powerful, and we don't want Saddam Hussein getting in charge of them. You're just like, you fucking weirdos.
I mean, I guess that was when Sony first showed up, and they were probably trying to do whatever they could to get into kids' homes.
They were doing anything, yeah.
You're right. That probably makes sense.
They got fucked over by Nintendo, so it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Can you guys believe that the only reason Sony exists in its current stage is because Nintendo said fuck you?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is. It's so
it's fascinating,
weird,
really.
Man. Well, yeah, and it shows you watch your fucking back. Like, don't screw people over. Watch your back, man. Like, if you're going to do a business decision, you should probably follow through.
Because for me, with this classic, the reason I'm interested, I never actually owned a PS1 ever. I had a Nintendo 64 growing up, and like that was my system. Like I just played everything on it. I have fond memories, really, of Pokemon Stadium for sure. That's like the instant go-to. In my head, Smash Bros, of course. But I never really experienced a lot of PS1 classics growing up, aside from, of course, Final Fantasy VII. But everything on that list, like I've listened to the Ridge Racer Type 4 soundtrack a ton because it's just so good, but I've never played the game or really know anything about the game. So stuff like that is intriguing. I don't like how they announce like 5 at a time, though. I just wish, this is your day to announce it. Give us all the games because...
that was...
what happens is if you're going to keep doing it sporadically, you might have more people getting angry who aren't getting the games they want, and I feel like a lot of people buy these systems just to have like that one game to plug and play whenever. Like, this is not the PlayStation Classic, this is my Tekken 3 machine, or this is my Final Fantasy 7 machine, and so on. But for me, I have like a different vested interest. I'd say a very rare one though, as someone who, like I said, I played a PlayStation 1 like I think twice growing up. Like it was at a friend's house for like an hour. Very rare, sporadic occurrences. So for me, it was all N64. And you'd think I'd be more about like the rumored N64 Classic, which, we just, the same, I think, 24-hour period, we got the controller trademark image, which looks like what is on the labels for the SNES and NES Classic. So it's obviously coming. Do you guys feel like there's going to be this kind of warfare between these two classic consoles this fall, or do you think Nintendo's going to try to push the live service that we'll talk about in a little bit and maybe do the N64 Classic down the line?
I mean, the warfare's already begun. You saw when their announcement came, right? Like the eve of the Nintendo Online launching. Oh, here's the PS1 Classic. They only tell us about 5 games. There's still 15 more. They're holding off on those games, I think, personally, just in case Nintendo does push the N64 Classic this year. And they'd have to announce it. They'd have to announce it soon. Like we're almost into October, and they'd launch that in November. They'd have to do it soon. So in the off chance, maybe they're holding back some bombs in that 15. I mean, what Xenogears? You get Metal Gear Solid. You
gotta be Metal Gear.
Some games out.
Gotta get that in there.
I'd be curious how they deal with the Psycho Mantis fight if they do that. Where you got to plug it into the second controller slot. You're supposed to read the back of the case to find out Meryl's frequency. There's a lot of stuff that Metal Gear would, I think, be tough to put on there. I don't even know how that works in like if you emulate it. You just have to change your controller in the emulator to like 2, and I don't know how all that would work. But it would be cool if they could make that happen. It'd be neat. And then they, of course, reads your memory card. So I don't know if this thing has like a virtual memory card with like a menu when you turn it on and everything. There's a lot of questions there. I think that's why they're holding the 15 back, but I would love to see it. I'd love to go into the MPDs and like talk about it in January for December's and be like, who won, the PS1 or the N64
It would be
Classic?
interesting in a year where we see so many big fall titles dropping, and we just had like a huge exclusive for Sony, and Nintendo has a couple of big exclusives coming up, and you'd think the conversation would be about who won the holiday period for that, but it's actually could end up being about these age-old consoles coming back and who won that.
Both of those systems would, either one of them, probably both of them, would outsell the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Switch. They would both outsell them because those are perfect gift items. You gift them to people. That's what it is. It's Christmas time. We gift stuff to people. So that's probably what happened. You got to buy that AC adapter though for that Switch or that
some
PS1
poor
Classic.
sucker is gonna get a PS1 Classic and try to set it up that day for Christmas and learn that there isn't the AC adapter there.
I mean, that's what happened with the new 3DS XL.
Oh yeah,
come with an AC adapter.
Oh right.
Nintendo figures you already own one of their proprietary adapters. That's
egotistical.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a little.
Just a bit.
It reminds me of when I bought my first ever 3DS, and it was a used one from GameStop because I literally only bought it for Dream Drop Distance, which is a game I really don't like. at this point. And I remember when I bought it, GameStop isn't close to my house, so I get it. I'm happy. I come home, and I go to charge it, and it doesn't come with a charger. And I'm like, motherfucker, forgot to put it inside the box. And so I had to go all the way back up to GameStop and get the charger again. So for me, I experienced that nice and early.
Yep. That's why the 2DS XL is more valuable than it should be, because it comes with an adapter and it's $50 less.
Unbelievable.
Oh man.
Anyway,
I'll be buying one though, a PS1 Classic. So.
Oh yeah, same. And Karak will be using it for his bonfire outside the back.
No, but I was going to answer the question about like.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. About the warfare that will supposedly go on. $99, of course. If N64 Classic came out at $99, that obviously they both sell more. Because not only are they great gifts, but they are super cheap. And anybody who looks at that cheap price and sees multiple games in Born with the controllers it's a travel system too, because they're going to be smaller. So it's like, hey man, instead of bringing your PC with you to emulate these 20 games or whatever, you can just grab your PlayStation Classic or your N64 Classic. But I do feel that there was also there's a lot of psychology, obviously, in the gamemanship between the consumer and between the businesses themselves. And one of the biggest I saw was PS Classic. And then Microsoft is like, yeah, but look at us. And then Sony was like, yeah, we have downloadable games now on PS Now. Mm-hmm. And you have this thing where it's like PS Now is also this weird, not all games are going to be available to do it and all that kind of stuff. But you have these weird offerings. I personally think that not only are Sony and Nintendo going after each other, obviously, with the Classic, but I actually do. And one person I did talk to at one of the companies did sort of state that there's been discussions around it, is that there is a worry that Microsoft, with the backwards compatibility and the Game Pass, is starting to get like this strange momentum.
Well, because here's the thing is, and I'm not solving any mystery no one already knows, but like they just need the exclusive in my opinion. They offer such consumer-friendly practices. Yeah. You have a new cheap way to afford a console right then and there, make the impulse purchase, not feel like you're spending too much money by dropping X amount of $100. They just need the exclusive games. That's all they need.
Yeah. Well, and I think that for them, Forza is probably going to be one of the major ones. Mm-hmm. Obviously, just judging by the demo, it sounds like that's going to be a blockbuster for them. But it's weird because Microsoft's exclusive happens to be the games look the best on the X and Game Pass. And it's weird because it's hard to compare them sometimes. Because, for example, exclusives are great, but they only come out once every couple months. But if all third-party games look better, then all of a sudden you're like, third-party games plus 300 free games, not free. Sorry, they said free. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. It's a very awesome time for consumers for the one reason that they're all fighting for like the dollar. They're trying to figure out ways. I'm not a fan of the Classic, but PSN Now should have been downloadable day one. To finally just now be like, oh, you can fucking. It's like, come on, man. Mm-hmm. They're doing it because of the competition. They're not doing it because they love us. They're doing it because the competition is forcing them to do it, which I like.
Yeah,
helps us.
It's still not all of them though. The PS3 you can't.
It's not all of them,
games, which is unfortunate the way Sony treated that generation. But they'll probably never be downloadable, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Dude, remember when the PS3 came out, the hardware backwards emulation chip, and then they're like, "We've decided we'll no longer have
they said
backwards."
It was too expensive.
Yeah, and they
that
went to
the fuck out of me.
Shitty software version that didn't work near as well. So
they used to put the entire motion engine chip in the PS3.
Yes, yeah,
it was amazing. But it was
I got to work on repair at that time, and we got to open those up, and it was just like a mess inside.
Oh yeah,
especially that first revision.
Oh man.
Well, the Classic is coming in just a couple of months, but right now we've got Nintendo Online, which has just gone live this week. So this information is by CNET from Morgan Little and Sean Buckley. The paid service costs $4 a month, $8 for a 3-month period, or $20 a year, and is now required for Switch owners who want to play multiplayer games over the internet. In other words, the service is effectively putting parts of major titles like Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart 8 behind a paywall. and also Smash Brothers, Super Mario Party upcoming. You can play NES games. If you're wondering about one of the most popular games in the world, Fortnite, don't fret. You're still able to hop into the Battle Royale even if you don't have Nintendo Online. It's one of the few games that will be allowed to continue online multiplayer without a subscription. The online service also includes a library of NES titles, including Mario Bros., Excite Bike, Dr. Mario, Balloon Fight, and other NES classics, all sequestered into a special NES system Nintendo Switch Online app. It's a mouthful of a name, but it actually works pretty well. It even has the same visual filters Nintendo baked into its miniature NES classic console, 4:3 pixel perfect and a 4:3 ratio, pixel perfect, and a retro TV mode, complete with distortion and scan lines. These games all have a tacked-on online functionality, letting player 2 join in remotely. In our brief testing with the feature, this actually worked fairly well, which I also saw. John, you did a video with Dreamcast Guy, and it was really informative, and you could actually see just how seamless it is. You just select online play from the app's menu and join a friend in progress, or wait for one. When we had a strong connection to the other user, it worked great. When we didn't, input lagged, turned fun into frustration. There are currently 20 games in the NES library for now, but Nintendo says it'll be growing the library over the next several months. Lastly, the Nintendo Switch smartphone app is still the primary means of communicating with other players during online play. It's a bit of an awkward experience if you want to chat with a friend online. You'll need to make plans offline before you can jump in the game. Start the game on your Switch, then start the app on your phone and connect via the app as if you were making a call on speakerphone. So that's all I've got for you. Let's start off with you, John. You tested a lot of this. You covered a lot of Nintendo stuff. What did you feel about this online service as you played through it and tinkered with it?
So the fact that people have to pay for online now with Nintendo is not unexpected, I guess. It's everybody else does it, so I guess why wouldn't you, is kind of Nintendo's thinking. And I guess their thought process was, we don't have to do too much of the service if we charge less, which is probably not the best mentality, I think, to have. I would have preferred for them to charge $40 and have a good service overall. Their online needs work. The app is it's not good.
Yeah.
Some people say it works well. I don't know why I'd pick up my phone to talk to somebody over it when I could just call them or load up Discord on my phone. But I will say the NES offering is good, but my problem with that is I feel like there's a roof for their NES flicks, if you want to call it that, because the whole service is $20 a year. I mean, how many NES games could they actually jam in there before they start to realize that they're devaluing their games? Because that's what Nintendo. One thing about Nintendo's games is they never drop in price. They're always expensive, and here they are jamming. I mean, they're going to do 4 games per month now, it seems, going forward. Just add it in. So by the next time I have to pay $20 a year, which is next September, I guess. Will there be, I don't know, 50 games in there for $20? I mean, would we be able to get Super Nintendo games for $20? Or I feel like if they had a good online service for $40 just for the service, and then we had their version of Game Pass for $10 a month, there'd be a ton of room for them to grow into Nintendo 64 even, and GameCube maybe. So I feel like that might happen eventually, but as the service stands now, if you really want the NES games, $20 a year, that's probably what you're going to lean on. And I think that's what Nintendo delayed the service for, was to add more NES games and use that as a crutch for their online service that's missing. It doesn't have messaging. You can't message people. You can't create parties outside of the game. There's no native voice chat. There's a lot of things they're missing. And I feel like they're just saying NES games, $20 a year. But if you want to play Smash, you got to give them a 20, I guess.
Yes, you do. That's why I haven't paid them a dime, but that's when I will probably end up paying. You definitely, I agree when you say I'd rather pay more for a better service, because I imagine, what if they said, here's Nintendo Online, we got our parties, we got our messaging, it doesn't take you off of the console to group up with your friends. And more importantly, I think if they included virtual console, and they really I'm talking hit a home run, they're we got a little GameCube library, a little Game Boy library somehow, maybe just because the Switch is portable, that'd be cool. we got the NES, SNES. Like they say, each month we're gonna have one new NES, one new SNES, one new GameCube, and one new Game Boy, and just keep growing that way. I think I'd pay for that in a heartbeat, just knowing, that, because we see with PS Plus, the big thing is the free games you're gonna get, and soon that'll kind of dwindle down because the Vita is no longer being supported, so that's going to be one less game. They announced that in 2019. There's not going to be PS3 games anymore, so it's just going to be PS4 at that point. But Microsoft still does the two Xbox 360 titles and the two Xbox One titles, so I feel like Nintendo, with their history, that they are primed perfectly for that type of service. So I know it's a matter of emulation and getting all that working. It's a lot of technical hurdles to leap, but I mean, if they could figure it out, that would be a service I personally feel worth diving into. Karak, what about you?
Yeah.
I think that they are the most low-effort motherfuckers in the industry. Like, their online service is so shitty that they can't even contain your save games if, like, your credit card went bad. They said that save games are not saved at all if you do not have an active account. So
I will say there appears to be an extended period of time afterwards is what we're hearing, but they have not at all outlined it or communicated it. So
yeah,
that's
so right now we'll go with.
Problem is we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we'll go with. I'm just going with what they said, which in their article said there isn't. But if there is, great. Microsoft's forever, Sony's 6 months. That kind of stuff, but the low effort, their online is from fucking 1942. I mean, their online systems are so terrible. The fucking phone app, no one in the world thinks that's a good idea. And they are so low effort that they can't get any. They still have the friend code, the way they do all that kind of stuff.
Friend code's weird to me, yeah.
Yeah, they just don't care. And what's strange is, since I've known you, every time we talk about Nintendo, you repeat the same fucking phrase, which infuriates me. Not towards you,
no,
by
you're
the way.
good.
Which is, if only Nintendo would. And I'm pretty much done.
No, you make a good point.
That's all we ever say. They have an amazing IP lineup, and then they give you shit. They have an amazing this, and then there's not a lot delivered. They are one of those companies that they just sit back, and I swear to fuck, their meetings, Matty, must be the most crazy meetings. Imagine somebody saying, hey guys, everybody else is online. What do you guys think about a cell phone app? Like, what the fuck? Who wakes up and says that's a good idea? Like, let's separate the app from our hardware. That makes total sense. So,
it's really funny. Like you're saying, no one, even like the biggest Nintendo fans, no one likes that app.
Yeah, no one does. I'm not lying. If somebody says they like the app, they're lying. So there's that, or the fact that, not to be rude, Discord works far better if you want to use voice, for example. I don't know anybody.
There's a million other options too. That are easily as accessible. So why create this app? I just feel like Nintendo at some point should have stopped and just thought, wait, this is already done. I can get Skype on my phone. I can get Discord on my phone. I can make a phone call. Like, there's so many ways to do it.
I love the price. I think that a lower price is better for any online service. Mm-hmm. And I do understand that servers cost multiple millions of dollars. Like, you'll hear Microsoft when they break up their numbers, and if you start looking at that when they do their quarterly shit, and you start hearing about like their server numbers, and they're not the most popular console, and you're all, that's quite a load of cash, and I think that Nintendo doesn't want to foot that, and I get it. I like the cheaper price. I think that's great. But it's a cheaper price for a hodgepodge system that requires all these other things. And to me, it's not some way to move into the future. I would rather Nintendo just doesn't move into the future.
Yeah, it's weird. What they did here was they inconvenienced with that app a very convenient system.
Exactly.
Very weird. I've never understood that. What's really funny is it's completely possible because Fortnite has native voice chat.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Exactly.
Splatoon 2 through LAN has native voice chat.
And remember, they said originally that was impossible. That's another thing Nintendo likes to do, is because it's not possible, and then another company will do it. Look at Sony. Crossplay is not possible, and then fucking Arena League or whatever accidentally turns it on just to show that it is possible. It's just, I don't know, man. It burns my hide.
Well, I mean,
just
we also
don't
heard
like
the
this kind of shit.
Microsoft. It's impossible to get original Xbox games on there, like Phil Spencer himself, and then it happened. Takes a little effort and money.
It took not only that, but when the team, because I know somebody from that team, when that team was talking about how hard it was, they really did, think it was impossible. But the difference there is that was an internal team with money working on it, where it's like the Fortnite team isn't, and they're just like, yeah, we figured it out. And you're all, how did the fuck did they, if Nintendo can't figure it out, how the fuck did these guys just randomly get it working? But whatever. It's cheap, which is its selling factor, I think.
Well, they from what we can tell with Fortnite, they used Unreal Engine 4 has like a voice option.
Yeah, voice chat. Yeah.
So they just built it in there,
which is smart. Smart. And there's a lot of Unreal games too that could do that, and I would love to see more companies do that for sure. Oh, speaking of that, I wanted to ask real quick. I want to talk at the end. I saw SpawnWave did something on City Skylines for the Switch. I want to talk about the FPS on that.
A bit of gameplay on it for it.
At the end of the video. I just
you can do it now. I mean, this is where we're talking about Nintendo. So if you want to dive in,
so you were talking about the frame rate being pretty bad later in the game. Is that what you were saying?
For the Switch version of it.
For the Switch version, right?
No, I got as far as I could with my town dying of apparently pollution because I put the one thing upstream from the other.
Oh, gotcha.
What I really wanted to do was I was hoping that there was an option. I was trying to remember if the PC version. Are you big into Skylines?
A little bit. That's why I'm asking.
I was hoping that there was like an option to where people set up scenarios or like towns ahead of time, and I could just download it and try out the frame rate because I'm not at all into city builders at all.
Gotcha. I know there's mods now, for it, but okay. I was wondering. I thought then it wasn't you. Somebody just recently said something like after a certain amount of time in, their frame rate had dumped.
Oh wow! Okay.
To just an insanely low frame rate, which that's one of the big hurdles on the PC as well. It would dump. So a lot of times whenever I see a game go from PC to Switch, I'm like, here we go. It'll be, especially a simulation game like that. Like I was really surprised to see that roll out. So I just wanted to see. But
from what I played, it was okay. But when things would start happening and you zoom in, it would chug a bit until it catches up, I guess the best way to describe it. But like when you zoom in, everything looks like low resolution. It's basically like they took that resolution slider and went just down to get it till the frame rate started working. So.
Okay, gotcha. I was just wondering because I was thinking about getting it, but I'm gonna stay away.
Well, it's just one of those games that you look at and you're like, this is great for the Switch, and then you see what type of game it is, and you realize, all right, this is gonna be one of those Switch games that kind of is bogged down a little bit by technical limitations.
Look at Civilization. They announced that for it. That's
that
fucking AI kills a PC. Have you ever gone into a late game of Civilization and then said, let the AI go, and then be like, well, I guess I'm going to go get a burger, go to sleep, work out.
I think that one might work a little bit better because they have an iPad version of it.
They do. That's actually what one of my viewers was posting, was saying that there had been some optimization and the iPad version was not bad. At all.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's actually one of the reasons they're getting it to the Switch and not other consoles right now is because there's an iPad version that apparently works.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Do you guys think that its functionality is also aided by the art style? I know a lot of people didn't like the change, but it seems like a lot of game designers lean towards that. This is probably not the best word to describe
cartoony,
more cartoony, art style that doesn't demand as much from a system graphically.
Yeah.
So that might be why.
I need Age of Empires. I'll play Age of Empires. I'll play that. They get that.
I would play Age of Empires on anything. I'd play it on a fucking watch if I had it.
Yeah, we used to play that all the time in my household with like LAN connections set up back then. Oh man.
Yep. So fun. Such a great game.
The 90s were great.
They were.
Meanwhile, I was just being born. Next is another online that was announced, but it wasn't for a console, but rather a game itself. So this information comes from the Rockstar Games blog. We're going to go through Red Dead Online and then also a little Q&A that IGN had exclusive access with Rockstar to, pick their brains a little bit on what's going on with this system. But I'll just preface this by saying that clearly because Rockstar said in this blog post, like, go, if you want more information, go check out IGN's Q&A. There was a little exclusivity deal here where IGN clearly doesn't press many buttons, and if they did, I'm sure Rockstar was like, hey, no, like, that can't be there. Anyway, today we are excited to announce Red Dead Online, a new online connected experience set against the backdrop of Red Dead Redemption 2's enormous open world. Oh man, I made a mess up stapling. So like, have you ever done this before? You staple too deep into the
over
page,
the words,
and so yeah, like now I got some words tied up with each other, and I have to guess what they are. Red Dead Online, I can tell that one, is an evolution of the classic multiplayer experience in the original Red Dead Redemption, blending narrative with competitive and let's see here, positive, maybe intuitive, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna go with intuitive gameplay in fun new ways. Using the gameplay of the upcoming Red Dead Redemption 2 as a foundation, Red Dead Online will be ready to be explored alone or with friends, and will also feature constant updates and adjustments to grow and evolve this experience for all players. Red Dead Online is planned to launch November 18th, initially as a public beta, with more news to come soon. As with most online experiences of this size and scale, there will inevitably be some turbulence at launch. We look forward to working with our amazing and dedicated community to share ideas, help us fix teething problems, and work with us to develop Red Dead Online into something really fun and innovative. Access to Red Dead Online is free to anyone who has a copy of the game, by the way, on either PS4 or Xbox One. So while I get a hold of the Q&A on my phone, I'd love to hear what you guys feel about, them taking the GTA 5 approach in many ways, delaying Red Dead Online after launch. Do you think this impacts single-player DLC, despite Red Dead Redemption having some really fantastic pieces of single-player DLC? And just generally, what are your thoughts?
Go ahead, John.
It was weird that why would they say it was free to everybody who owns it?
I don't know.
Are they selling that thing separately outside of that?
I guess it was to clarify, just so people didn't think it was separate, that you could just buy it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But nah, I mean, Take-Two has they know what they want to do with this thing. Mm-hmm. You see GTA 5 in the NPDs, and the reason it's always there is because they sell shark cards, and you get a copy of the game with the shark card. So that's why they're always in the NPDs. Take-Two is doubling down on microtransactions, games as a service. I think, as long as they don't, I'm concerned of what they're going to do with Red Dead Online. I'm going to be honest, because GTA 5, have you guys played a lot of GTA Online at all?
I used to, but it's been a good couple of years.
I started to find out, as I would talk about it here and there in videos, that apparently it has turned into, you go to the store and you buy a lot of shark cards to get good at that game, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons I stopped playing it, because the grind became like immense. Unless you spend $50 to get like a yacht or something. And then people started breaking down how much the cars cost, and it was like hundreds of dollars to get X amount of cars or something.
Wow.
And I think they're going to make a really cool online, but I'm concerned that Take-Two is going to literally take too many microtransactions from people. But I think the single player and everything is going to be awesome, but did we even get any GTA 5 single player content at all?
No, they canceled it.
Yeah, I think that they just want to flesh out that online and leave the single player how it is, which is a shame, because I think this is going to be an awesome game. But the online, maybe it'll be like what I did with GTA 5, where I bought the game, I played the single player, I dabbled in the online, and then I kind of moved on after that.
Yeah, same exact thing.
That's kind of what I'm thinking here, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm buying it. I'm buying it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna love the single player game because I love the first one, but we'll see about this online. What are they gonna call it anyway? Buffalo cards or
donkey ducats?
Yeah,
I betcha.
Yeah, man.
I'm in for it. But we'll see.
I don't have that adoration that a lot of people have for Rockstar games personally, and part of it's just because I think it's because they make such good games, and I get very jaded with decisions like these, where I always call back to when GTA 5 was being promoted, and GTA Online was like a huge deal, and it was like being talked about in trailers, and they were like, do heists with your friends, do this, do that, and none of that came for years until after launch. But like no one said anything, it felt like, and I was sitting there just wondering like, hey, I bought this game because I was excited for the single player aspect, but I'm not going to lie. At that point in time, it was 2013. I was in high school. My friends and I were senior year of high school, so my friends and I were hyped to play something together, and have a cool experience of like robbing banks or robbing trains or whatever. And it never came for a very long time, and so that personally left me jaded. And so when I see this same thing happening again, the difference here is they weren't like buffing it up in trailers and stuff. We were just all going off the assumption GTA Online made a lot of money. Red Dead's going to be a thing. But yeah, I'm just personally, I'm going to be real. I'm excited for this game, but I'm way more excited for other games. It's really hard to put my finger on why, because what I see and hear is tremendous and all, but I just don't vibe with Rockstar, truthfully. It's just something about them, and I see the Take-Two shenanigans, and it's like, at times, I just don't want to spend my money on that. I try to very much speak with my wallet, but, and also as a creator, a lot of people are going to be, everyone's going to be talking about Rockstar. It's like, we're kind of a drop in the bucket when it comes to that. Just everyone's going to be fucking on that, and it's like, I have more interest in other games at that point, both professionally and just interest-wise. But I do have the IGN Q&A here. I was sifting through it while John was talking, and it's kind of what you'd expect, but I'm going to go through some of the major points to propel the discussion here. So IGN asks, what do you want players to get out of Red Dead Online, and what ambitions does Rockstar have in the terms of evolving their idea of online open worlds? And Josh Needleman says, Red Dead Redemption's multiplayer was a real leap forward for us at the time. It was the first game that hinted at the real opportunities for open world multiplayer beyond cities, where the world was open as a place to create your own freeform gameplay, while at the same time was a sort of living lobby for other more structured kinds of game modes. Red Dead Redemption 2 will take those ideas much further and combine that with everything we learned in the years since then with our favorite elements from Grand Theft Auto Online about how to make really fun and complex competitive and cooperative experiences in open worlds and how to introduce narrative elements into multiplayer. There's also why aren't you releasing Red Dead Online alongside Red Dead Redemption 2 single-player experience? Imran says, there are a few reasons for this. The first is that Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online share the same gameplay mechanics and geography. We see them essentially as separate products that will grow and evolve independently of each other. So hopefully that means, if he's talking about both of them, hopefully there is a single-player team that will evolve that aspect of the game, provided the story's good and we actually want more, which I assume it will be good. But anyway, we love story-based single-player games, and they are the foundation of everything we do. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an absolutely massive story-based game that we hope people will be lost in for a long time, and we want people to experience everything that world has to offer. But before we build on that, or we want everyone to experience what that world has to offer before we build on that with the online experience. Not to mention playing through the story, getting to know the controls and mechanics of the game is the best way to get ready for playing inside the world of Red Dead Online. On top of that, as we have learned from the experience when launching online games at this scale, there are bound to be a few issues, and we want to ensure that we have time to gradually roll out the game and make the experience as smooth as we possibly can for everyone. We believe this way of rolling out will give people the best overall experience with both single and multiplayer. And let's see here. This is just about game design. What have you and your team learned from your experiences launching, designing, updating, supporting Grand Theft Auto Online? To which Josh says, the biggest problem with the original Red Dead Redemption multiplayer was that every update we released fractured the audience. As the game got bigger, we separated our player base. Avoiding this was the inspiration behind GTA Online. We are obsessed by keeping the audience complete and experience beyond perpetual. Beyond this and a lot of trials and error, we feel we have found a way to make multiplayer games that feel like Rockstar experiences, combining personality, gameplay style, narrative, and variety into the packs. That did not really begin to happen until we released the first heist pack. Our aim this time is to hopefully get there a bit more quicker, but still be responsive to what people enjoy playing and evolve as we go. And that's pretty much the major points in my opinion. So a lot of info there. I will shut up for a little bit. What do you guys think about all of that?
Go ahead, John.
So they're talking about how they fractured their player base originally, and they're concerned about that. That's one of the biggest mistakes some of these companies were making for a while there. Like I saw it in Call of Duty all the time. I don't know if you guys played a lot of Call of Duty going forward, where
DLC
they would
packs.
release a DLC pack and immediately like half the player base would just drop off. And they still want to. The biggest thing they should be doing is if they're going to have these microtransactions in the game, all DLC should just be updates. They should be like free, straight up, just to keep the player base invested. And I feel like Take-Two has learned that. So I expect Red Dead to be updated a lot, especially with what we've seen with things like Fortnite, where they don't even charge for the base game. Like that online mode should just be like free. They should just give it to people. And
like are you saying like outside of Red Dead 2?
Yeah, that should just be straight up free at this point. GTA their online should be free as well. Just give it to people and they'll pay money. How much money does Fortnite make every month? It's like $100 million or something.
They said in the month of August, I think they had like 78.3 million players or something. So you know that a lot of insane money going.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like how many people of that PS4's own like its own player base of like what they have 80 million consoles out there. How many of those people you think would just download Red Dead just to play it because it's free online?
Oh god, yeah.
Like it's just an old tradition of charging an upfront fee to get into a game where there's so much stuff to buy anyway. It would support it. But I expect at least the updates to be free. And I don't know if they'll really update the online to the degree of big packs or anything. But I feel like that online is going to have big updates, and they'll keep it alive with microtransactions and everything. Just don't split that player base. Just don't do it. So that's my real thought on the player base possibly being split. I hope they don't do that. That would hurt it.
Karak, what about you?
I think they're sort of full of shit because is that a running theme for today? But from me, here's why. They said oh, we split the player base with updates. Guess what, dickheads? You split the player base by making me spend $500 when I first jump into GTA 5. So they're full of shit. This is also the company that had those just amazing nutsacks to say they weren't microtransactioning enough. And to me, it takes an amazing nutsack to stand up and on any kind of digital platform say that. And they said it with absolutely no blinking. So my personal belief is it's good. You're going to get your single player, but that multiplayer is going to be, I mean, I just did a video on this and I'm not joking, where it's like you're going to have a base, 99 cents if you want this picket fence piece, 99 cents for the Knicks, 99 cents for this. We've seen it with NBA, 2K, fucking whatever, where you couldn't even get your hair and your beard the same color. I talked about that in my review. Each one was a microtransaction. These are companies that I just don't think, I don't think what they say in any way, shape, or form matters, because one of the problems is that a lot of these companies that money comes in and that's all they see. They've got one foot on each yacht. I mean, that's how they're swimming around. So it's like I honestly feel that online is going to be a purchase fucking haven. I just believe you're going to get in and it's going to be everything.
Yeah, because some people might think we're being cynical, but I think we just look at GTA Online and that's all you need. You know? And then you look at comments surrounding that, the condiments to this microtransaction sandwich from Take-Two.
But it's all condiments. It's not even a sandwich anymore.
True. It's a ton of ketchup here.
It's a ton of ketchup and some mustard and an occasional pickle in the shape of a $50 fucking car. And they can fuck off when they look at their pricing, because their pricing is ridiculous. John was completely right when he was like, some of these cars are costing, insane amounts of money. They have Star Citizen GTA 5 in some magical way without anybody bitching, or not much bitching, certainly not as much as Star Citizen. They've magically made it so that their digital items are worth insane amounts of money.
The worst part is if you ever catch a customer going up to the counter at like a GameStop or somewhere with a shark card, I can tell you 9 times out of 10 it's a gamer under the age of like 12.
Yeah.
And they're getting in now. But I mean, that's also, to your point, that's the same company that asked people to go tell Belgium that we want loot boxes, guys.
Yeah, we need those. We need those things. They help the youth of America. So I just, nothing that they've done indicates also to me single player content, by the way. So
True.
If they did an Undead Nightmare, which I believe is the DLC you were talking about earlier, Matty, when you said some of the best DLC for a
It was good, right? Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people really liked it.
Yeah, I thought that was really amazing. I don't think they already lied, and they did lie when they said that they were going to do single player DLC for GTA 5, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think that instead of lying, they're just going to omit.
Yeah, no, they're not even gonna mention it. I don't think.
Right. And I think you said the growth of both versions. Well, that could be patches. That could be, a new activity here or there. But I don't think that we're gonna see amazing new single player content. I just don't. It doesn't.
And
I don't have any
as
hope.
a company, I get it. You look at Rockstar and they're like, let's say we put out DLC for single player. They probably would want to charge for it because it's not like the online mode where you release a free patch. Hey, here's a handful of new cards, but if they buy these shark cards, then we're going to earn our money back on what we invested in this update and then make even more on top of that. So, that's probably also why as a business they're like, yeah, let's just veer away from that because we stand a chance to lose here. So as a business, I get it, but as a gamer, I don't like it. And I wonder if what's really off-putting is we always talk about these issues. I think gamers are very aware of it. I mean, I know my Twitter following, it does not represent every single gamer out there, but when I had seen the Red Dead Online news and I was like, hey, does this mean we're probably not getting single-player DLC? And everyone was like, ask the shark cards. Yeah, you're probably right. Like, most people were very vocal about, like, yeah, what they're doing is bullshit. But I also notice a lot of people on top of that go, but I'm buying it anyways. But I don't care. I'm going to love the game anyways. But Rockstar is amazing. I'm going to buy it anyways. And it's this weird conflict of interest where you have this amazing developer, amazing games. And I'm not even going to smash the GTA Online content because that's a fun expansion despite the microtransactions hell zone that they have there. But then, like I said, those very microtransactions make you like, it's like you're just fighting yourself constantly. It's like, this game's awesome. Fuck this game, though. And I just feel like we're always encouraged patience. Let's wait and see. All that type of stuff. But when it's Rockstar, it's just like, out the window.
Well, and remember, these are the same guys who, they just stated, we split the player base in this way and that way. Mm-hmm. But when you look at GTA 5, they also split it in another way by making it so that the public lobbies could only have certain items. And they split that even, which I didn't know of until I returned back to it. And I couldn't figure out where half the shit was. And people are like, no, you can't do private lobbies with that anymore. This stuff is only in the main lobbies with like everybody. And what? You're all, well, there's some, Go Burns, who's on my podcast, that all he is their games. And he talks about it all the time, that splitting. They've split multiple times. I think their idea here is to honestly promise nothing and under-deliver, and people will be happy because just like Nintendo, they're selling some nostalgia here. Red Dead, we all loved well, at least I loved Red Dead. I know Matty wasn't in love with it, but I really like Red Dead. So those people will buy it, and then what if they just are like, oh yeah, there's not a lot of stuff in the store. It'll creep up, though. It'll start in that first 2 months, and there'll be just a couple things. And then you'll go away. You'll come back 6 months later, and it's like, buy a brand new horse saddle for $49.99. There is a ton of psychology based around using dual currencies where you pay something for a certain number of things in a game. So like $5 for 1,000 crystals. Yep. That shit is absolutely unacceptable and needs to stop. So like shark cards, if it's $100, everything that's there needs to state exactly not how many donkey points it fucking costs, but how many exact cents or dollars it costs. Because the number of people who see, oh, $5 donkey card gets me 1,000, gold doubloons, and you're like, oh, great, that's a lot. And then you go in and it's like 50,000 gold doubloons for a fucking pair of shoelaces.
The thing that's really weird is if you're a fan of Rockstar, you should actually be kind of annoyed about the Grand Theft Auto Online.
I'm telling you, I know.
They used to make a lot of games, and GTA 5 is like the last game that they made.
Yeah,
Right?
it sucked
5
it up.
years ago. Yeah.
It sucked up all the talent, all the everything.
But like what? Like they haven't done anything with like Bully or Manhunt or Max Payne or Midnight. I love Midnight Club, and 2008 was the last one that we had.
And I was obsessed with Max Payne 3. You have no idea how happy I would be. And I mean, that's the thing with Rockstar. I think they got their IPs for everybody, but they don't deviate the talent. Like Karak said, it was like a vacuum. It sucked everyone up for GTA Online.
But do you see what I'm saying? How it feels like Nintendo? Nintendo has a bunch of stuff, doesn't do stuff. Rockstar has a bunch of stuff, doesn't do stuff. One sells nostalgia, the other sells nostalgia. It's uncomfortable after a while.
They used to make so many games. Then GTA 5 came out, and they just stopped.
Manhunt.
Yeah, they're making so many games.
Bully was fucking man.
How is there not a Bully 2 yet? Like this.
Well, there was a person who leaked a couple like prototype, because sometimes or sometimes they'll say, hey, draw some art like they did with Jade Empire 2. But it never what?
Jade, no, I wish there was Jade
Empire dude,
2.
I wish I'd kill for a Jade Empire 2. But I don't know, man. It's like we're all the reason why we're all talking like this is because the only thing we have is a history of terrible, back business practices, and they're saying things are going to be different, and then when you say how, they're like, because it's an immersive world, and you're all, dude, that's not an answer.
Player choice and consequence.
You're like, that has nothing to do with the question I asked, which
I mean, you also got, there's a lot of pressure on them for this game to be good, right?
100%.
How much money they make? So much money from GTA 5, and we all like to assume, probably
that it goes back in.
Being naive about it, we're like, oh, they're buying yachts or making trips to Vegas and stuff. Now they're putting the money back in, so we expect 9.5s and 10 out of 10s out of Red Dead Redemption.
Absolutely, and I think
Rockstar
knows that,
right, guys? We would all agree. A long single player story is what I think will be the big thing.
It better be the same length as I'm playing Dragon Quest 11 right now. I'm like 40 hours in. It better be Dragon Quest 11 length.
it's also going up against Odyssey. And Odyssey, from the people I've talked to who are playing it, are like, it may be 100 hours. It's like, if it is 100 hours and it's $60 and you just get all that shit, I could see. Red Dead, of course, it looks amazing. It certainly looks like they've got their chops down. But at the same time, if it's a fucking 8-hour game, people are gonna kill someone.
Yep, that's not gonna be good.
I don't think there's a chance of that. It just because you see the effort and the finer details, especially in the trailers, man. I will say that it's fascinating. Some of the little things that they do to bring the world to life, and there were hands-on previews with the game, and of course they were overwhelmingly positive. That's the only thing is like they get so positive about the game. Like people were talking about horses taking shit and that like horse testicles like change in size based off the weather, and I'm like, that's cool, that's a great little detail, really bringing the world to life, but fuck do I not care about that. I'm not going to be playing with horse nuts for 40 hours.
Imagine the day that you're at work and they're like, hey dude, can you grab that fabric tape measure because we're going to go measure some horse nuts.
I'm gonna need to see the Digital Foundry analysis on that.
On horse nuts. The one thing though, Matty, like when you, with all those attention to detail, when I said 8-hour story, what I really meant was removing the fluff. I mean a true story, like a true, here's a cutscene, big event, world-changing event, character-changing event. That's what I meant.
Absolutely.
But I see what you mean by, if there's side stuff, which there appears to be a ton. I will say I don't believe the previews. So that does bother me a little bit because a lot of them use the same wording. What that usually means is you have a piece of paper in front of you, or the person presenting to you is like, the horse nuts shrink, and everybody says the horse nuts shrink in their preview. The only people I've ever seen open to a preview saying negative stuff without the caveat of it's a bug or an alpha was, of all things, the one I did, which was Watch Dogs 2, where they were like, you can say whatever you want. Like, if you hate it, you can say it. And I was really happy with that. I felt Spider-Man was the same way. You and I talked about this, where it's like only IGN brought up the thing that turned out to be true, which was that it can get very repetitive. No one else said a word. And IGN, of all companies, was like, uh-oh. So here, I just can't tell if these previews are anything more than another way to get word out about the special features in the game versus a true preview. Like, I don't know, that maybe that's just me being cynical, but it feels like especially who got to see it and how they're doing it and what they said, if you start matching everybody saying the same general thing. I mean, we've all been to preview events, right? John's been to some, right?
Yeah, I've been in a couple. Yeah.
I mean, depending on which one it is, usually there's a handler, who's there, and the words they say, you can tell, aren't just made up. They're, they've got answers.
They put one on me when I went to the Switch event.
Oh, did they?
They knew who I was. They were like, "Wait a minute, you can't come in here with a screwdriver."
Exactly. Delid this CPU real quick, and let's see if we can drop it by 10 Celsius. So, it sounds really negative, and I'm not trying to be. It's just that there's no history other than GTA 5's online right now, and that's all I have to go on, other than the memory that GTA 5 single player was awesome when it first came out.
It was. I mean, well, I wouldn't say first, because like at first I would remember just standing in a lobby getting booted, standing in a lobby getting booted.
No, I single player.
Single player.
I was saying the single player originally was fantastic. I loved that.
I really enjoyed. I have a bunch of videos of GTA Online on my channel, like videos of my friends and I playing together and stuff. I mean, it was a blast. It just there came a point where I was ready to move on. And then I guess it got pretty crazy after that. But I don't want people to mistake any negativity for just that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, we give a fuck, and we want it to be the best it can be.
And there's a pattern established, and I don't think cynicalness is the same as indicating that the pattern that's been established is set in stone, has been for a while. If this company turns around, magically changed, I'd be the first to fucking stand up on top of my house and be screaming out doing YouTube videos of me dressed up like fucking one of the Western characters. Like, if they
I hope they turn
switch,
around then.
I hope they turn it around. Now Maddie's like, I want to see that video character.
Yeah.
I would be, I hope.
All right, well, we shall see in a couple of months when Red Dead Online drops. And now it's time for a little more microtransactions. A recent debate is sparked up with Halo Infinite. It was revealed this past E3, just a CGI trailer. But now some job listings have pointed to a little more nefarious stuff going on. So this information comes from JP, I apologize if I mispronounced the last name, Gamboris of Game Informer. A job ad posted under Microsoft Careers in June states that 343 Industries is currently looking for an online experience design director, with responsibilities including engagement features that encourage players to return again and again, and qualifications that work on live services with experience in social and microtransaction systems. Fans have begun to speculate that Halo Infinite will be a live service game, an increasingly popular model in the AAA space akin to that of Destiny or wow, I didn't even realize this, GTA Online. In response to the conjecture, studio head Chris Lee recently took to Twitter to let fans know that the game will not, quote, include real money loot boxes, end quote. Are you guys surprised at all that this is Halo's direction?
No, I mean, Halo 5 had like packs that we would open.
Yeah,
I think I've stacked up like 99 of them because I never open them, but they keep giving them to me. I'm not surprised. Microsoft wants live services for their games.
Yeah,
it's what they do now. So I'm not surprised if they're going to give it away in Game Pass. They want to get money out of you another way. Halo Infinite. The thing about Halo Infinite, it feels like it's like the last Halo almost, because they're calling it Infinite, and it's just going to be a continuously updated thing,
like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, kind of like you just feel like
I expect. I would be shocked if there's another Smash Bros. By the way, I think Ultimate's the last one. But
I would be too.
Or maybe a hiatus of many years before that comes.
Yeah. Like they just keep porting it to the next system and add
exactly. That's true.
It's gonna be a DLC platform after that. But I agree with that. I feel Halo Infinite's gonna be. I feel the last one. But like that name Infinite has to symbolically represent something.
Yeah, because they don't name. They do not name their games without a reason.
Because they've always been numerical, or there was Reach, 3 ODST. Like there was a meaning behind this Infinite, and I instantly thought. We actually had a conversation on my Discord for my patrons about this, and we were thinking like, what if it's like open world to some extent? I don't know. I thought of that, and I was like, I don't know how they do that with Halo, but holy shit!
Destiny? Like, they just do something like that?
Oh, boy.
So, Halo 5...
Don't say that.
Halo 5 had special ops, remember? The mini missions. So, my personal belief is it'll be a base of some kind, your main story, and then it'll be like, fly to this planet where the Flood are invading. go here to where this, and the infinite part will most likely be that. True open world like a GTA, no, because that'd just be fucking weird. But I could definitely see, you know, let's say we're 4 playing, and I'm like, hey John, hey Maddie, let's jump in this fucking, you know, bird and go to another planet and conquer this planet. And they're able to make using Forge. We've seen how amazing Forge is. I mean, Forge is probably one of the best overall like map level makers in a contained space I've ever seen. So it's like if kids are doing that, modders, sorry, then professionals could continue to do that. The Spec Ops thing they did, I really liked, because I don't know if you guys remember, but it was released on a weekly basis. It was like Monday of one week, you would have these ops, and then the next Monday, it would be a different set of missions.
What was that again?
I think it was called Special Ops, but it was in Halo, and you were able to go out with another team. It was like B team or something. Yeah. And it was a side campaign, I guess, a side mode.
Oh. Wasn't that in Call of Duty too? Spec Ops?
Oh, I'm sure. Call of Duty had the one where you could be in the plane and the other dude would be on the ground. You'd shoot people. So we're looking at that, but I do find it weird because the Halo director did tweet after that story and said there are no whatsoever money microtransactions in Halo Infinite. So it's like, who are we believing? He said it after that went out too.
Well, he specifically said loot boxes, right?
Wait, that is true. He said no money, no money.
No money,
money
no real
something
money
loot
boxes. So maybe it's gonna be the tried and true cosmetics. You earn them in in-game rewards.
Oh, I'm okay with that. If it turns to be that, then I'd be like, whatever. Yeah. You know, if you know what you're getting, then the story changes a little bit.
Yeah, as long as you know what you're getting and you can earn it all, like just by playing the game.
Yeah. In a normal amount.
Yeah, if this guy over here wants his armor to be like pink with like bright green stripes,
exactly.
I don't care.
I'll show up with the gnomes, you know, fucking puking the rainbow behind me as my icon. Yeah, so he did pop off really quick too. That came out and he was like, actually no, blah blah blah. So, you know, once again we're left like Rockstar, not knowing.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with John. Microsoft wants it.
I just feel like they and that's definitely a really good point. I just feel like they jumped on it quickly because after Halo 5, Halo's kind of fallen off the map a little bit. It's still a flagship title, but I wouldn't say it's the Titan it once was.
Get back in the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I'm back to that now.
I love that, man. I love that game so much. Halo 1. I love Halo 1. I know everyone's like 2, 3.
I'm a Halo 3 guy.
But,
Halo 3.
Halo 3 stories.
Halo 1.
Yeah, Halo 1 was awesome when I had to take my Xbox to my friend's house to play.
Oh, God, yeah.
The internet ruined that.
Internet destroyed or just broke up friendships. Remember when couch co-op was a fucking thing? I'd have friends over. We'd play 4-person. You wouldn't try to not see the other people's screen. You'd be like, bitch, that's a skill. You got. Now I'm watching all 4 of you motherfuckers, and it was so fun to play right next to somebody. Again. Oh, it was GoldenEye all over again. Yeah.
I mean, that reminds me of when we were talking about the N64 Classic. I always wondered if they'd ship that with 4 controllers, just because of games like that.
I feel like it'd be too expensive to do it.
Yeah, probably would. Yeah,
it'd be cheaper to make on one hand because they wouldn't need the flash memory that the PlayStation 1 Classic needs. But like, how to rebuild the N64 controller? I feel like that would just be expensive. It's a big controller. It's not like little.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that'd be the first time we'd see one of those systems to have an analog stick.
Mm-hmm.
True.
An analog stick. So how would they
would
they do the same terrible design?
those mini games where you have to like roll your middle analog stick, and then eventually you have those just horrible controllers that are like tilted all the way to the side.
Mario Party 1, man, that thing ruined it. They had to send out gloves to people. Because of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Infinite seems, I mean, it's going to be an interesting thing overall. I also think Microsoft is going for the value add on everything, Game Pass and all that. So maybe they will just say, okay, right now the industry is against, true microtransactions of items. So we are just going to go with cosmetics. And if so, then, I mean, I guess it's the lesser of all the evils.
Here's the real question. Is it an Xbox One title?
That's a great question. I feel like if I'm Microsoft, I'm saving everything for the next gen. Because imagine if they did.
Yeah, they're building up a pretty good launch here. I will say that.
Yeah, and think about it this way. Let's say like the rumors are true. 2020 is when we're getting our new consoles, or end of 2019, which I doubt. But let's just say hypothetically, just imagine if Halo was one of the launch titles.
Yeah,
it will. Just so people listening don't confuse this. We're talking about the release. It will for sure work on the Xbox One. They've already made that clear that all their titles from now on will be backwards compatible to the older system.
True.
Once they switched it, so they were doing with the 360, it was PowerPC chips, which were a completely different style of chip.
Yeah.
Now that it's the AMD APU, they've already stated that it's the family. In fact, they even said in that one thing, it's like treat the PC as your high-end Xbox, your Xbox X is your middle, and your Xbox S and original as your low end. It'll move up. I'm sure at some point they're going to say, listen, we're not supporting the Xbox One after a while, but the way games are built now, if you can fucking turn your goddamn game to low on a PC, you should be able to have those settings on an Xbox One. It may not look great, but you should be able to do it, and especially on a shared architecture like that.
Sure.
Because it doesn't sound like they're going with ray tracing or anything on either one of these.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, as for Halo, though, I'm excited for Halo Infinite. I am, just because I want 343 to succeed. You know, I feel like it's a lot like Star Wars kind of went for people. You know, where Episode 7, people were like, yeah, let's go, it's back, and this is a great start. And then 8, people kind of were like, what the fuck? I still think it's a decent movie, but anyway, you know, I feel like Halo's the same thing. Like 4.
Wow.
You don't think it? You know, not at all. Not even decent.
No, space gas. It's the fucking. It's terrible. Come on. Are we talking about this last one?
Yeah, last
Solo. Not Solo.
No.
Solo wasn't
I haven't
bad.
seen
It was
Solo
boring.
yet.
It wasn't bad. It was just not.
I was worried that I haven't seen it either.
action-packed.
I was worried it was going to be boring.
That's sort of the best way to describe it. But yeah, it's okay. We don't need to get into Star Wars.
Oh, we absolutely can.
I was just surprised that anybody in the universe with a brain liked it. But whatever. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you're excited for Halo, man, because Gears replaced it for a long period of time. And you know, Halo had some problems here and there, and Gears became sort of the Microsoft. What is it, bro shooter?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting also to see where Gears go. It was, wasn't it? When we were playing that for review, we were like, dude, this is fucking good, man.
Yeah. Tell me about it, bro. And then to like, that's another one that got announced a couple of years ago. Microsoft's been very hush hush on that.
Yeah.
Makes you really wonder what they're saving for the next launch. You know, and because like they look at it this way, they're like, okay, we're succeeding as a company, but we're not catching up to PlayStation. How much do we stash away for next, you know, the next generation? They're gearing
the next
up,
platform.
You know, and what do we do now? And obviously, all these developers, they work hard. They want to give their game a chance at life. Not that the Xbox is completely dead. I mean, look at Sea of Thieves' fucking player base. It's ridiculous that a game like that actually had that many people buying it and playing it. So I don't think if they dropped Gears of War or Halo, you know, before the launch, that people would be like, oh, what's this? And the same goes for The Last of Us. That game did extraordinarily well, despite being like the last big PlayStation 3 exclusive before the 4. Right. But I do wonder what decisions are going on at Microsoft. And I mean, you know, now I'm really going crazy with it. But imagine like a launch title collection of, you know, Halo Infinite, Gears 5, and something else. Jesus Christmas.
Do you know what So a lot of people are questioning Microsoft's timing for the Master Chief Collection's fix. Because Master Chief Collection, when it was released, might be one of the best examples of the worst handling of an IP ever. Like it was almost unplayable. They fixed it, and the question that a lot of people are asking is, are they fixing it as a platform for the next one, to where you're playing, you've got your Infinite, and suddenly there's a new tile that's like Halo Infinite, and maybe is it all of them together as something? Is it like because it's weird timing. You don't spend millions of dollars, which they have. If you look at Master Chief Collection now,
it was 4 years.
Yes, it is of constant work. So you don't really spend that just to recoup a mistake. We've seen that because the mistake for Scalebound was that it sucked and Microsoft canceled it. So you would see them move on, but they didn't. They're like, no, we're still supporting Master Chief, and then they rebuilt the fucking thing. So it makes a lot of people like sort of wonder, what does that mean for? Is Infinite just going to be piled in, like, as an extra tile in your game choice, in Master Chief Collection? Is that what they're going to call all of them? It's just Master Chief Collection will now include 6, or Infinite. Sorry. So because otherwise, how about this?
I'd be terrified for Microsoft if they tried to like redo the Master Chief Collection again. Pretty much, it was like,
no, I don't mean that.
Halo games.
I mean as a front end, because it's quite easy to do a front end.
Okay.
So your front end's like Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite as a tile. You click it, it goes into its own engine. Right. And I just mean, the thing is no one's been able to, at least for me, verifiably explain why Microsoft has put so much money into the Master Chief Collection, because no one was playing it. It was quite literally at 0 players for a while.
Yeah, you're right. I played it for like the first week, and then
yeah. So what caused them to return and return it in such force to where they have it on preview program? If you go and look, like, they have different rings of testers. It's like they're doing something.
Yeah, they did say in one of their updates that they're turning it into a live service. So you might be right.
So it's like, is Halo 6 Infinite just the next part of, or a name for what it will all be as a service, which is the Halo service? They have Halo Online in Russia, don't they? Where's the MMO for Halo?
They might have.
Did they shut that down? Oh, gotcha.
That's what I thought El Dorito was using before.
That's what I thought too.
And they used like the framework from that to build out, and then they got shut down, and then Microsoft started talking to them, and then we didn't hear from any of that again. So maybe they're working on Infinite now.
Exactly, like nobody heard from them because they're inside of Microsoft now, going like tick, 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 tick.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Another live service got an update this week, a pretty important one. PlayStation Now will allow downloading of PS2 and PS4 games. This information also comes from Game Informer. The writer of this article is Imran Khan. Sony has announced that their PlayStation Now streaming service, which allows streaming of games from various PlayStation consoles, will now allow users to download games and play them from their hard drive on the PS4. This means that players no longer need a strong and consistent internet connection to play games using the service. Almost, quote, all PlayStation 4 games will be downloadable, as well as the list of PS2 games that are already remastered for PS4. Sony declined to give a full list, so it is unclear what the expectations are, or the exceptions are. Based on PS Plus, it is doubtful a constant internet connection is required, and more likely will only check if using a non-primary PS4. Sony did not suggest that PlayStation 3 titles are or will be downloadable in the future. So when I first saw the headline, it was like, PlayStation Now updated allows downloading. I was like, hallelujah. 4 and 2, and I was like, no, I want 3, because that is what that's what I care about personally. I get why they can't, because you pretty much have to emulate off the server a PlayStation 3 infrastructure to get them to run on the 4. And since the cell in the PS3 was apparently one of the most complicated things to develop on, from what I've read, I see why this has yet to be a thing, if it will ever be a thing. But it's interesting to see, we were actually talking about this before we recorded the show, so I forgot who I'm quoting right now. Why don't you let me know? But it's interesting to see Sony actually respond to Microsoft for once. So how do you guys feel about this PS Now update? Are you a little more intrigued?
Yeah, I've had PlayStation Now for a little while now, mostly because I subscribed at one point to check it out for a video, and then I forgot about it. So there you go. They got me there. But they also did a special where it was like $100 for the year. So I just did that because it's less than $10 then. Yeah, I really want to try it out anyway, because they have like Dark Cloud 2 on there and some good ones. But mine still has not updated to where I can download. Apparently they're rolling it out over the next few days to where you can download it. So I'm still waiting to try it out. But apparently a download button comes up, you download it, and then it's all local, just like Game Pass. And they needed that because it was more expensive than Game Pass and technically worse. So it didn't make any sense. You had more games, but the streaming, and I've tried it with the streaming. You can feel the latency. Don't even try. They had Street Fighter on there. I have no idea why they even had Street Fighter on there. You're not playing Street Fighter like that. So the fact that you can now download them, like, that's the one thing I love about Game Pass. It's all local. You download it, you play it. And I'm glad PlayStation Now is doing that. But you're right, it's definitely a response to Microsoft because they had to. But the PS3, that'll probably always be streamed. That's never getting downloaded, which is a shame.
It sucks because, my friend has been playing Eternal Sonata for the last like couple of weeks on PS Now, and it's been really good for him. Yeah, it's a unique one. And he says it's been fine for him. It just seems like PS Now across the board is just spotty for everybody. Because my friend Vinny had played, I think it was Uncharted 3 at the time on PS Now. And it was like watching a YouTube video buffer at times where it just would get all pixelated and then it would lag, and it was just really frustrating, and he'd get really mad at it. So it's interesting to see two different experiences with two completely different games. It seems like if you're ever going to play a PS3 game on PS Now and stream it, it's got to be like a turn-taking RPG or something that doesn't demand that like 1-2 reflexes. But do you think with this response for PS Now, we were talking about gearing up for the next generation. Do you think allowing the download of PS4 games is something that when the PS5 drops, they're going to kind of echo this announcement and be like, hey, 2, 4, you can download these games on your PS5, hypothetically, if that's what it's called?
Yeah, there's no way they'll put it up and then pull it right back down as we go more online. So I'm sure Sony will be like, we're allowing for PS4 downloads, and when PS5 comes out, they've made it pretty clear that they consider the next system for them a new platform, but you can bet your ass they're not going to turn off backwards compatibility anyway. Mm-hmm. It'll still all be backwards compatible. So unless they were stupid and built a completely different online infrastructure. And the lag is a big deal. That's why I do like the idea of those downloads, because the lag, I don't think people understand that just how much latency is introduced. Even in, let's say, an HDR TV, I have a good HDR TV, when it is on game mode, it's 40 milliseconds, which is 35 higher than a PC monitor, which once you add it to your controller, and then you add it to, the console, you add it to the game, suddenly you're looking at a pretty high fucking input rate, and then you're trying to stream the goddamn thing. So, I don't see them ever rolling it back. Now that PS4 is being available, the PS5 will definitely have PS4 be available.
Yeah. It'll just I had to stop playing on TVs. It was you're right, it was bugging me. Like just even some of the lag. You said 40 milliseconds is what it is on like
HDR 4K. 4K 1080, it's down to like 19, which that's easily playable. But on a good TV game mode, it can be anywhere from 21 for the new TVs up to an insane amount.
Yeah, I just moved to monitors. I was like, I got like a 4K Asus. I'm like, it's so nice, it's snappy. So it's like, I went to a TV the other day at a friend's house, and it was like, oh man, I could feel it just going from like the monitor to that. Like it was like, it bugged me. I don't know.
And some people, just because he and I are nerds, doesn't mean everybody will notice that. I do want to make sure that's clear. Like somebody else could play at 40 and would be like, what? Like this is snappy, and it can feel that way, but really when you add streaming in, Jesus. Yeah. I mean, streaming is insane because you're sending all that data to them, they're drawing it, getting their frame buffers, all that shit, putting it out to their output, then translating it into the fucking bit codes, coming to your house, then it's being translated back again. So,
I mean, it's just an idea, in my opinion, that sounds not optimal to play a video game. When Sony's just like, all right, our solution to backwards compatibility is let's stream the game. I'm like, that's so much data going back and forth. Who in their right mind thinks this would consistently work, and that most people using the service would have good enough internet to access it?
And it was worse when Microsoft was basically like, put the disc in.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, oh, it works. Yeah, like that. That's the thing is that and maybe that's their way to do backwards compatibility going forward. I don't know.
I was gonna ask, do you guys think there's gonna come a time where I doubt it with the PS4, but with the PS5 that it's gonna say put in your PS4 disc, or more shockingly would be put in your PS2 disc, and it just loads the game up.
This system should be able to. I should be able to put my PS2 and my PS1 disc in this thing, and it should work. It's a shame that it doesn't. So I hope they do that next generation. But I mean, Sony is more traditional than people realize. I will say that they look at it and say, why do we do that? we get more money if we charge them on the store. So.
And again, I mean, if when you talk to like the platform developers, switching from the cell development kits for the PS3 to the 4, that was difficult because translating that, writing an emulator, Microsoft took a year to write theirs. I don't know about PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3, but I do think that PlayStation 4, you would put your disc in. And
I mean the PS4 people hack the PS4 up and down now. And they have PS2 and PS1 playing on it. They're like, oh, it works fine. They found a PS2 emulator,
but
I think, on it.
They have their own emulators, right? It's not Sony's emulator.
I think they said, what game was it? There was a game, and they found a PS2 emulator on the PS4.
I saw that on the Switch, because that happened for sure on the Switch. I didn't know if that happened on...
I have to look that back up. That was a while ago.
That'd be interesting. Because that's the thing, too, is like... not to be rude, but like some fans make really good emulators and the companies don't. Xbox 360's backwards compatibility for the Xbox One original, wasn't very good.
Absolutely, yeah. Like the Wii U has been hacked up and down now. People are playing GameCube games on that thing with their
exactly. So it's possible. One of it is like you said, Matty. Like, are they gonna do it though?
Maybe it was Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa the Rapper with an emulator.
It might have been that. I'm trying to remember. I think that had an emulator. That might have been it. That might have been the one where they found an emulator on it. It might. Oh no! You know what it was? It was the PSP version. I think is what they moved over, and they wrote an emulator to play it on the PS4.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So there's like a PSP emulator, and hackers found it, and now they're using it.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh man,
that's amazing. That's actually
funny.
Also. With I think with the 360 and the PS3 for sure, they both own all the rights to the technical specs. One of the problems with the Xbox original was NVIDIA screwed Microsoft over.
Oh yeah,
and held all the specs, which was why it was so difficult for them to get the backwards compatibility.
That's one of the reasons, if I remember right, you needed the hard drive on the 360 to have backwards compatibility.
Yep, because there was some crazy shit that happened between NVIDIA and which is why Microsoft is just never going to work with NVIDIA.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's the end.
Yeah, and our last bit of news for the week is a sad one that happened right as we got ready to start recording this. Telltale is... we'll say downsizing. They got rid of hundreds of employees. They're at about, according to sources, 25 people right now. And I'm imagining as the weekend progresses, this story will develop a little bit more and there'll be more info out by the time this podcast is live a couple of days later. But for now, you guys had heard from various sources a couple of things. Like I mentioned, the 25 people, it might be bankruptcy. We're hearing that... none of their games profited, even Batman, which was their worst performing game. And then we joked about it, kind of like, why would you do a fucking sequel or second season to it? And then the only game that made them money was the original Walking Dead. And now we're not getting, probably, Wolf Among Us 2, which also, it's just crazy to imagine all these great games that they made. Like, Batman was great. The Wolf Among Us was great. So was The Walking Dead. And it's amazing to hear that only The Walking Dead was lucrative for them.
THQ Nordic, it's time for you to step in.
THQ Nordic's collecting,
man. THQ Nordic, come on. Buy that shit. Buy it.
I talk about them way more than I should because they just keep buying everything.
Yeah, exactly. You know that they're planning something.
They got to be.
Yeah, it's sad, man. But, I mean, it does make sense. They've had cuts 3 times in the last 4 years. And then they did the huge engine switch because they thought the engine switch would allow them to work more, efficiently, as well as the fact that the old engine was absolute blow. That was one of the worst graphics engines ever.
Yeah, Matt, we did also have, while we were talking on here, I spotted it on Twitter, the breaking news from them. Where they actually put out
in
a
the
statement.
Discord.
If you look in the Discord, they actually have a statement that they put out. And it basically just outlines it straight from.
Oh,
them.
he can't because do you want me to read it?
Yeah, read it for me, just because I can't. It'll disrupt the video recording.
It says Telltale Games for immediate release today. Telltale Games made the difficult decision to begin a majority studio closure following a year marked by insurmountable challenges. A majority of the company's employees were dismissed earlier this morning with a small group of 25 employees staying on to fulfill the company's obligations to its board and partners. CEO Pete Hawley issued the following statement. Sorry, this is very small. It's been an incredibly difficult year for Telltale. We've worked to sell the company on a new course. Unfortunately, we ran out of time trying to get there. We released some of our best content this year and received a tremendous amount of positive feedback, but ultimately that did not translate to sales. With a heavy heart, we watch our friends leave today to spread out our brand of storytelling across the games industry. Telltale will issue further comments regarding the product portfolio in the coming weeks. That's interesting right there. Now that I think, I did not read that last sentence. That may indicate then that they are shopping those, which would be
they probably
awesome.
have to, right? Yeah, they probably have to.
Oh, yeah, or the rights would go back. But that would be... Can you guys also believe Guardians of the Galaxy didn't do well? It wasn't a great game, but it was like connected to the movie.
Minecraft, that was one that I thought, even though that's not my cup of tea.
Let me ask you guys this. I've heard this a couple times with these kind of story-based games. Do you think something like Twitch or Let's Plays damaged sales more than they could have, I guess, overcome?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the amount of friends I have who don't buy a game and just watch it, just because it's like a 2-hour episode. They're like, yeah, it's like watching a movie.
Yeah, I saw at one point Jacksepticeye streaming to like 50,000 people, and he's playing Batman Enemy Within, I think. And that's probably 50,000 people that are just going to watch him play it and maybe not buy it then.
And it's games like, I wonder if Square Enix is taking a look right now with Life is Strange,
Ooh, that's a good point.
Life is Strange team is only 36 people though.
Oh, okay.
All right, so then.
So I think they're probably.
You got to make these games, I guess, as cheap as possible, pretty much.
Yeah, and no IPs either. Buying the IP is going to be insanely expensive as well. So no IP for Life is Strange is always going to help them a little bit. But yeah, it's sad as fuck, man.
Well, yeah. Now, but I have to commend Telltale on one thing. Is that they took chances while they were going down as a company. We thought like, wow, they're doing great. Here the Batman, Game of Thrones, Marvel. We're all looking at like, wow, good for them. But in reality, they were probably just barely making ends meet, if not at all. Clearly not at all, based off the current situation. But I just have to give them the immense amount of credit to experiment and not just, okay, The Walking Dead made us money, let's just go back to that and just do that a ton and nothing else, to try The Wolf Among Us, to kind of, I guess, chase a little bit of passion instead of the money signs. I think that's commendable.
Man, they're good storytellers, though. Man.
Yes.
Batman was fucking... Man, I really like those games. Yeah. Like, I just Wolf and Batman were like two of my favorite series. So, and Batman tried to do some crazy stuff where you could be Bruce Wayne in some episode or some scenes, and Batman and others. So it seems like even they were saying, "Oh, if people are streaming it, you may only see them stream one version. So here's another." So that leaves it open to where there's another version on the side. The problem is voice acting costs so much too.
Yeah.
So it's like voice acting's insane. I still don't know how Bard's Tale handled it with like 350 voice actors.
Wow.
So much money. So much money. So it sucks, man, because I know it's cool to hate Telltale, but I actually liked a lot of their stories.
I like their stories too. I'll be the first to say I was not a frequent purchaser or like diehard fan of their stuff. Like I said, there are only 3 series I can think of. It was season 1 of The Walking Dead. Didn't play another thing of Telltale until season 1 of The Wolf Among Us, and then didn't touch him again until season 1 of Batman. And that was it. And think of how widespread all those are in the scheme of things. So it sucks, man. So best to those who are at Telltale. Hopefully everyone who was let go today ends up landing on their feet at new studios with new opportunities and more exciting games to work on. But that is all we've got for this week. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
this
thank
has been
you.
A blast.
Oh, yeah. It was fun. Yeah. I will say one thing. If you really like a game or a series, buy it and don't watch it on Twitch is what we're learning now. You know,
exactly.
It's the reality of the business, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I agree. You gotta even. It sucks to say because, like, for example, I saw the people who work on Velocity 2X. They released a bunch of tweets talking about how a lot of things got screwed up on the PC launch, and I think they launched with PS Plus, so they had a lot of players, and they had amazing reviews, like 9 out of 10 or up across the board. But no one wanted to fund them on a brand new game, which they had already made. They're like, we just need a publisher to get this done. Like, they're like, we have the game done. And they're like, the only way we can do that is if you guys go out and buy Velocity 2X on the Switch. And and there are people, I think, who said they were, I don't plan on buying it, but just to make this happen, a company shouldn't go under because of this. So people are just buying a game and not playing it. And I've heard, for example, Greg Miller, I remember him, for example, saying with The Witcher 3, like he I don't know if it's changed now, but I recall him saying like he bought The Witcher 3 season pass almost as like a thank you for the game. Like he was like, I don't know if I'll play the DLC, but I wanted to give them money to support what they're doing. And you see that a lot, like, Karak and I run a Patreon. John, I don't know if you do or not. Do you have a Patreon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay,
Yeah,
just making sure. Okay. So like we all get like that feeling of someone going the extra mile and being like, hey, I can just consume this for free, but I appreciate what you do. Here's a couple bucks and the difference it makes. So we just ask you to, consider the game devs as well, and that if you like something, money is what keeps it alive in this business.
Yeah. It's a tough world. It's a money-driven world out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's sad.
But there will always be winners and losers in that.
Yeah. The only problem is we don't want the winners to be called EA or Activision.
Activision stays
That's
winning.
why I was very happy to see Hollow Knight do so well. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. This has been a great year for indie. So that's at least something we can take note of and move on with our chins up. But anyway, that's all we got for today. We hope you guys enjoyed episode 171. Be sure, once again, to check out John. He'll be linked in the description down below, his Twitter, his YouTube account. Give him a look. Give him some love. Great channel. I seriously adore his stuff, and especially your freaking setup, man. Holy crap. I told you that when I initially messaged you, but your setup's awesome.
Oh, you like it? Oh, okay, cool.
I love it, dude.
Put it behind me here.
Yeah, no, because it's literally what I have visions of one day doing something similar, and having, it's like I'm like, oh man, I want the green screen, I want to have like the news to the side, me on the foreground, like that type of shit, and it's awesome what you do. So please give John a look, and that'll do it. So we'll catch you guys. Oh, hashtag fuck,
dude, come on, Matty.
Hashtag The Last Jedi was decent.
Oh man.
I just lost a host.
Wow. What the fuck? Yeah, let's do that hashtag. Let's see how many people respond with that.
Oh man.
All right.
Okay.
I'm for that. We'll see how many people actually want to use it.
Yeah, exactly. People are like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I didn't listen to a fucking thing. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this far, and we'll catch you next week. Peace out.
Peace out.